Hello and welcome back to another episode of Punto How To. You join me on a moderately sunny but moderately chilly November morning. I decided with the sun being out I would take it for a drive with the roof down. As you can see, the roof works. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take you and show you everything that is wrong with this 25-year-old Fiat Punto. So let's get parked up and let's take a look at all the problems. Hello and welcome to another episode of Punto How To. You join me here in Sheringham, which is on the North Norfolk coast, and this is my 1998 Mark I Fiat Punto Cabriolet. Very rare car here in the UK. Back in the 1990s there were only about 250 of these actually registered on the road, and of the ones that remain, this is only one of about 12 that are still roadworthy. I picked this one up on Facebook Marketplace for £650, which is a very cheap price for one of these. However, this one has a lot of problems. It is by no means in good condition, and I'm going to show you in this video everything that is wrong with it, starting with the paint.
The biggest problem with this car that would put most people off is the state of the paint. There is not a single panel on this car where the paint isn't peeling off. The clear coat or lacquer that's put on top of the colour on this particular car is the problem. It has degraded, water has got in, moisture has got in between the lacquer and the paint, and it's starting to peel off all over the body of the car. The bonnet is particularly badly affected, but so are the tops of the doors, the boot lid, the rear quarter panels, the bumpers. There isn't a single panel on this car where the paint isn't peeling off. The only option for the car now is a total respray. This might seem drastic, but it's the only way to deal with this type of lacquer. You'll need to sand all of the paintwork back, get a nice even surface across the whole car before giving it a new coat of paint. Other issues with the outside of the car include rubber trims where they're beginning to degrade and crack. This one here is split, and another one here you can see pieces, just slightly pieces missing from the edge of the rubber trim. Where possible, I'll try and locate new pieces of trim to replace these. If not, which may be quite difficult to replace, I may have to just let them go and leave them. But hopefully I'll do the best I can to reuse what's already on the car and restore it to its former glory. Another fairly obvious problem is that this side skirt on the passenger side of the car is completely missing. It's not completely missing actually, it's in the boot of the car and it's been broken in half, but I do need to find a replacement. This shouldn't be too difficult to find a replacement for. I think you might be able to buy them new from Fiat, which will be a rarity, but there are some new parts still available through the Fiat dealership. Either way, I need to replace it. It being missing, however, does show you that there is very little rust under this car. The underside of the sill is in really good condition, and this would have been behind a plastic trim for most of its life, where dirt, water and muck would have built up, and there's already holes drilled in the sill, so rust is a prime candidate for getting into those holes and rusting the bottom of the sill. This car's really clean, which is a really good thing for this car. It means that it's worth doing the restoration on. Standing back from the car, we can see one glaring problem with the car is the state of the wheels. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the wheels, they're just not right for this car. These wheels are off a later model Fiat Punto, probably between 2015 and 2018. The wheels are not the right size, they're too big, they're 15-inch. This car would never have had 15-inch wheels as standard, and because they're off a much newer Punto, the tyres are far too big as well. Realistically, I need to find some replacements. Hopefully I can sell these wheels to find the money to buy replacements. Actually, let's jump ahead in time and see if I've managed to track down some wheels.
You join me as I am in my wife's Mini Countryman. It's the biggest car that we've got, and I am on my way across country towards Milton Keynes to pick up the wheels that I've managed to track down for the Fiat Punto. They are original 5-spoke 14-inch alloy wheels, the same that would have been fitted to the Punto GT and to the Sportings and also the Cabrios. My car, I suspect, would have only ever come with the steel wheels. My understanding is that the ELX models had steel wheels unless you ticked the options box for alloys. But I've got the original steel wheels that came with the car. They're in an even worse state than the wheels I'm picking up, and the ones I'm picking up are not great. I am now about 20 miles from my destination. I will cut to when I actually get there and we can have a look at the wheels and see what sort of condition they're in. So we've got the 4 tyres in the boot. As you can see, these are absolutely bald, knackered tyres, absolutely no good, but the wheels individually, you can see in there, all worn out. Lovely condition, original centre cap, minimal curbing marks. You see some tiny marks around the edges, but it's very minimal. The next one, again, minimal marks, really nice condition, that one. This one's probably got the worst tyre on it of the lot. Again, this one, dirty but very nice condition, nice and clean, hardly any curbing on that one. And then finally, this is the worst one. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's all bubbling here and bubbling here. Some water's got underneath the paint on that one. It's still not curbed at all, that wheel. It's just bubbly and scabby, it just needs cleaning up. But all 4 original caps, tyres will all come off and get chucked, and we can then get them on the car. Perfect. Just another 100 miles to drive home again. Back to the present and back to looking around the Punto.
It's fantastic I've been able to find these wheels, especially in such good condition. Obviously they're the wrong colour for the car. I really need to put them back to a normal silver, but they will fit the car and suit the car perfectly, which is exactly what this car needs. I'll get them off to a restoring company soon, and we'll get these restored to their former glory. So what other obvious problems have we got with the car? Well, looking around the outside, the roof is in pretty bad condition. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's not great. Here, the window needs to be tucked under the roof in order to seal it properly. And I'll have to keep an eye on this to make sure water doesn't end up getting in the car. It's green, you can see lots of green marks around the edges over the stitching. And in places along the back here, the glue is starting to peel and separate. It's still waterproof at the moment, so it will do, but I think eventually I probably need to look for a new roof. You can buy replacement roofs for these. It isn't the whole mechanical roof, it's just the cover. So you replace the fabric. That's something I may have to explore later down the road. But at the moment it will do, and because it's still a relatively new roof, certainly much newer than the car is, you can still see through the back window. If you open the boot on this car, the gas struts have had it, so as soon as you let go and step away, the boot slams down. I'll need to try and track down some new gas struts. But again, this car being an oddity, it has really tiny little gas struts, so I'm going to have fun trying to find replacements for those. I'm thinking that I don't really want to modify this car away from standard, but one thing I think it does need is I need to change those little orange repeaters on the front wings for some nice clear indicator lenses. Standing back though, this is a smart looking little car. Back in the 1990s, this was one of the cheapest convertibles you could buy, and it was priced at around £15,500. Nowadays, you'd struggle to find any car for £15,500, let alone a convertible. In today's money, that would be about £25,000, so it's still a really cheap little car, especially one for a convertible. Under the bonnet we have a 16 valve 1.2 litre petrol engine producing a supposed 85 horsepower. This car doesn't feel like it's got 85 horsepower. I know what an 85 horsepower car should feel like, and this just seems lacking. I think once we can actually get under the bonnet and start doing some work on this car, we can have a look, just make sure that it's got a good compression. I don't see any reason to think that it hasn't. I think it probably just would benefit from a very good service. New oil, new leads, new plugs, new filters. I think it would drive like a different car then. I'm not going to be too worried about the mechanical parts of this car because, to be honest, it's getting a full restoration. I'm going to be replacing the shocks, the springs, the roll bars, the bushings. I'm going to replace it all and just make it drive like a new car. So here we are, we're going inside the car, and this is where things get bad. It looks fairly good on the face of things. You've got a fairly rubbish old style radio, very typical of the early 2000s, end of the 90s, with blue LED lighting. It's no good, it needs replacing, but that's another job for another day. At the moment it works, at least I can get the radio on it. The dashboard's fairly clean. Everything is there that should be there. The only problem I have is that the glove box is broken. I have managed to find online you can buy a new glove box front for it, so I'm going to be ordering one of those soon. This particular car has got electric windows front and rear. On a modern car this might not seem like a lot, but for an old car like this it's pretty impressive to have front and rear electric windows. It's particularly advantageous to have electric windows all around on a convertible because from the front seat you can then lower the back windows once you've put the roof down. All the windows work on this car, as does the electric roof. The only problem is that it's all a bit slow and a bit tired. I think the roof needs a service with some new hydraulic oil, and I think the electric windows just need the runners cleaning up, just so that they work more smoothly. There's no air conditioning on this car, so that's a thing that I don't have to worry about. To be honest, you don't really need air conditioning when you can put the roof down. The seats are in reasonable condition, they're just a bit dirty, but there's nothing particularly wrong with them. There's no major rips or tears. Just one of these clips on the back seat has broken off, but that's not the end of the world. The actual plastics on the doors are in a pretty poor condition. I don't know if I'll be able to clean them up. If I can't clean them up I might have to try and find replacements. But where things get really bad is in the back. As you can see, probably some little hints there that something's not quite right in the back. And as I move the seat forward you can see that the carpet's not right. And if you start delving a bit deeper, there's chunks missing from the carpet. Somebody's stuck this bit of grey carpet down on top of where they've cut holes in the carpet. And if we go a little bit further we can see all of this bit of the interior door card here, or door trim, is all melted. It's clearly been on fire. Somebody's had a fire in the back of this car, whether they've done some welding on it or whether they have dropped a cigarette butt in the back, who knows. But it's got some pretty bad damage to the carpet and to the door trim, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with this. I think I'm going to have to replace the carpet at the very least. The door trim, I might get away with recovering it, but I'm not going to know how I'm going to deal with that until I can get the car in pieces. This is something that I wasn't told when I bought the car. I could see there was something going on with the carpet in the pictures I was sent, but it wasn't explained that the car had actually had a fire in the back, and I'm not very impressed that that wasn't disclosed. One of the other things that I'm quite disappointed about is on these cars, when the roof is down, you have a cover that goes over the top of the actual folded down roof. It's actually a requirement in some countries to have this cover. When I was sent pictures of the car when I was buying it, the cover was clearly present in the boot of the car. Between me agreeing to buy the car and picking it up, however, this cover seems to have disappeared. They are extremely expensive to replace, if you can even replace them. So, I think probably I'm just going to have to chalk this one up to experience. I'm not going to be able to replace the cover because they just don't come up for sale, and I think I might just have to concede that I'm never going to have a cover to put over the roof when the roof is folded down. And that is everything that is wrong with my 25-year-old Fiat Punto. Nothing really, just needs a full respray, new set of wheels, some engine work, and the entire interior is a mess. But apart from that, it's a good condition little car. I mean, it's not a good condition, but at least it's not horribly rusty. So that's everything that's wrong with the car. What's going to happen now is after having a drive out in the sun today, I'm going to put it away for the winter. We're going to park it up in the garage and we're going to start stripping bits down, cleaning things up and start repairing all the problems with it, hopefully ready for next summer. So I'll see you in the next video.
If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Do, if you haven't already done so, click the subscribe button, leave a comment or just give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel to do that. Take care, see you next time.